I believe that I've begun drinking to excess and am not managing it. In this video, I want to work on interacting with the material from antiquity, showing how they're teaching us to resolve issues like this. In this video, I'm going to bring up both the Buddha and Jesus. We're not going to become Buddhists. We're not going to become Christians. What we're going to do is interpret both of them and find out that they're both the same character. Not the same individual, not the same person. We know that. They're the same character. They're part of a human life template teaching that is for us to discover. My name is Dan Paulson. Welcome to the video. Excess drinking, habits, anything like that. First of all, I want to say that I think that when you're going through this material, you don't tell people what to do. You don't go to church and listen to somebody tell you what to do. That's the blind leading the blind. Those are the Pharisees and scribes. When you enter the narrow gate, that means enter into your own mind, your own memories, your own past experiences, your own pile of judgments that we view life through, the hurt, the pain, the things that we remember, the things we don't want to remember, the things we hate, all of that stuff. You have to be able to turn and look at that stuff. That is entering the narrow gate. If you can't do that, you're not on board. You can be a Buddhist or you can be a Christian, but you're never going to interact with the teachings of the Master. You'll just live out your life and die. What happens if you don't enter the narrow gate? Well, all the Christians are standing outside the narrow gate where outward looking all the directions are many and lead to destruction. How many Christian denominations are there all looking at the world and people and things outside of them instead of entering the narrow gate? Okay, if you've entered the narrow gate, you are not a Christian anymore. If you're a Christian, you have not entered the narrow gate. It's as simple as that. That's going to be difficult to understand, but that's because we are mentally conditioned to idol worship a teacher named Jesus that is actually teaching the same thing as the Buddha, while the Buddha is also misunderstood in modernity. Let's go figure out what the heck this is about. How does the Buddha and Jesus teach me to manage my drinking, to get past this, to self-heal? Or anybody else for that matter. This is a universal pathway. It's everybody's inner path. All right, what I want to do first is tie the Buddha and Jesus together. They're both going to be at a point where I need to be, and that is going to be under the Bodhi tree or in the wilderness. Okay, watch this. This is a common motif or a repeating teaching pattern between the Buddha and Jesus Christ, which signify the start of the inward journey. These are both cryptic in the same style of mental shifting of analogous verbiage, however sounding very different without seeing the nested concept. These are all mental and will be managed as a mental step that need to be interpreted. Let me explain that part right there. What do we have up here? An anchored ship cannot sail. A dog tied in the yard cannot escape. Those sound different, don't they? An anchored ship cannot sail. A dog tied in the yard cannot escape. What is the concept in there that is not included in the verbiage? First of all, when you understand these verses, you have to put yourself into it. In the first one, I'm the ship. In the second one, I'm the dog. If I am the ship that is anchored, I cannot escape. This is a mental process. This means if I'm hanging on to something, I can't get away from it. The dog tied in the yard cannot escape means the exact same thing, but is held in different analogous verbiage, nevertheless maintaining the exact concept. You could be the goat chained up in the back, 40 someplace and can't get away, or anything like that. You could say you cycle around that which you cling to. That would be almost a plain language Buddha sounding one. You cycle around that which you cling to. Buddha, all that we are is the result of what we have thought. Okay, so when I talk about this talk about this right here. These are both cryptic in the same style of mental shifting of analogous verbiage. That's what this is, analogous verbiage. The ship is an analog for me. The dog is an analog for me. This is, it's just me. This one's more plain language. So it's not analogous, really. You have to know that it's mental, though, not physical. It's not about grabbing onto the tetherball pole and trying to run and never getting anywhere, just going in circles. No, this is about mentally hanging on to, God, I hate this, something here, something there, that is what the problem is going to be that's going to come after us. Okay, those were my examples, the anchored ship, the dog tied, you cycle around that which you cling to, but here are the real world ones, Buddha version from the Dhammapada. If a man speaks or acts with an evil thought, pain follows him like the wheel follows the foot of the ox. What was this up here? An anchored ship cannot sail. You cycle around that which you cling to. The evil thought, pain follows like a wheel follows the foot of the ox. You cannot escape sailing around and around, around the pole. You cycle around that which you cling to. We have it here, the cycle of pain. It's a pain cycle that is based in something that we're holding as a bad judgment. That evil thought does not mean I'm thinking an evil thought. It means that I've got something inside of me that is as a memory that is creating bad in my life. Maybe I was a victim and I hate that son of a bitch for what they did. That's an evil thought because what does it do? It creates an emotional state around that memory that causes that to continue to recycle. It's a part of my makeup that I have decided upon. I don't know that. It's not consciously. I've unconsciously made that choice. That's what we do. We live through our judgments. And those evil ones, what happens? Pain follows like the foot follows the ox. All right, I won't explain the rest of them that deeply. Lao Tzu version from the Tao Te Ching. Caught in desire, you see only their manifestations. Caught in desire, you see only their manifestations. Caught in the things that you're hanging on to, you see them continually reemerge. There's your cycles of what? Whatever you're hanging on to, not just bad but good too. But this is telling us that. 500 years later, the version from Jesus from Sermon on the Mount. The measure you mete unto others will be likewise meted unto you. All of these are cause and effect through mental judgment that we're going to continue to live life based on the things that we're hanging on to that are unresolved from our past and the beliefs and the things like that. We're going to live future life through that pack of crap that we've got in our minds. All right. So are we on board with that? All right. These are all mental and will be managed as a mental step that needs to be interpreted. There's going to be consistency in this. Okay. Here's what we have. The Buddha leaves all behind. I'm not going to do the whole Buddha story. I'm sorry. You have to kind of already be on board. We've got bigger fish to fry here. Okay, so this is the identical parts we're looking for. The Buddha leaves all behind and crosses the threshold by entering the space under the Bodhi tree. He fasts and meditates until he has found his inner preparedness. He is tempted by Mara, but resists the temptation of sin. He gathers his monks, teaches them, and begins his travels to teach. 500 years later, Jesus leaves all behind and crosses the threshold of a baptism by John and enters the wilderness for 40 days. He fasts and prays until he has found his inner preparedness. He is tempted by Satan, but resists the temptation of sin. He gathers his disciples, teaches them, and begins his ministry to teach. Okay, what did we have? The Buddha leaves behind all and enters the space under the Bodhi tree. Jesus leaves all behind, crossing the threshold, and enters the wilderness for 40 days. Buddha fasts and meditates until he found his inner preparedness. Jesus fasts and prays until he found his inner preparedness. 3. Buddha is tempted by Mara, but resists the temptation. Jesus is promptly tempted by Satan, but resists the temptation. Buddha gathers his monks at that point, teaches them, and begins his travels to teach. Jesus gathers his disciples at that point, teaches them, and begins his ministry to teach. Do you see that? This is a concept. That's a common motif. Now, when you operate these in your mind, you become the Buddha. You become Jesus. This is a teaching path to follow. You must put yourself in their shoes. You don't really become the Buddha. You don't become the Jesus. You become a traveler on the path that they are saying, here, this is the path. I am the Buddha. This is the path. So you pretend like you are in his shoes. Jesus, same thing. But you've got to interpret it at this level. You don't say, blessed are the poor, for yours is the kingdom of God, and then go off and become homeless someplace and live destitute. That's not interpreting it. Do Christians do that? No, they don't anyway. Although there's some that are poor that say, blessed are me. Yeah, there's so many holes in this. It makes people happy somehow. They're going to find something with it. When we interpret it, no matter who you are, there's one thing in here. The master intended one lesson. If I'm hanging on to something and I can't if I've got a judgment up here that I can't escape because I can't resolve the judgment, that's the lesson. I don't care how it's said, whether I use ships, dogs, goats, whatever the case may be. All of it means that one thing. It doesn't mean a bunch of different things. All right, I've got to be careful I stick my focus right here. I mean, I want everybody to be on board with what we're going to learn. There's some verses in here that we're going to be looking at that tells us what to do as far as the drinking, as far as my alcohol. I'm getting there. These are mentally interactive, and the issue is a mental choice. I'll let you know my alcohol right now isn't bothering anybody. I'm retired. I drink at home. I drink wine every day, and I want to stop, but every day in the evening I go, I don't care. I'm just going to go get a bottle of wine. And over the years, over about the last 5 years since I've been doing that, it's become a 1.5 liter bottle of Merlot. Almost. I'll leave about that much in each bottle. So the next day, at some point you're rotating through and you've got one filled up. It's like every 10 to 12 days, you don't have to go get a bottle of wine, but every other day you're refilling that. Yeah, that's how much. And then so who cares? I'm a big guy sitting at home that just enjoys that in the evening. Is it a problem? For me, it becomes a problem in a different way, but I need to talk about alcoholism because I have had a DUI before and quit drinking for over 20 years. I didn't touch any alcohol at all. And then gradually I reintroduced alcohol into my system. But here's the story. If you don't know me, it's a very abusive home. I was the first generation up in the Pacific Northwest raised from a family that had actually come from Alabama. And they were the Southern Baptist, and I was raised a lot differently in my home than the people around me. We were beaten with belts and whipped and had to say, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. You didn't say what. It was like that. But also, what has to be understood is that my mom is the one who really perpetuated this. But at this point in time in my life, what I understand is that my mom was not a mean person. My mom was a loving individual that had demons, that was given demons as a child, that was beaten, that was told, you're stupid, you're never going to amount to anything, you're slower than a 7-year itch. She was also sexually molested. I was not sexually molested in the home. I was sexually molested after I ran away from home as I was a teenager. But we're seeing patterns, and there's things going on that I look at and go, my mom raised me the best way she could, but she never got a hold of her demons. So what happens? Her demons become your demons. The demons go from place to place. They move along inside of the unresolved issues. And in order to escape the demons, that's what we must do, is resolve the issues and understand that person and know that what they were doing was not something intentional, that they were out of control. You could ask me at times as a kid, or even in times of anger, why would you do that? And I would say, I don't know. Something plays out. That's exactly what happens in a time like that. If you could ask them, something plays out. At any rate, we were whipped. We were raised. We went to church. We were 3 times a week. We were afraid to die in bed if we didn't say our prayers. It was kind of a spiritual fear. You better pray and worship to God or hell and damnation. It was that kind of an environment. And we were scared, and we prayed. My brother Larry and I prayed desperately for, God, Jesus, please come and stop this. We're getting whipped with belts. We're being told we're stupid. It's over and over again. School is, as you grow older, you're getting your head shaved and wearing wingtip shoes to school and button-down shirts when everybody else is, we'd get beat up in school. It was like, everywhere you were, you're just a target for getting beat, whipped, something here, there, everywhere is what life felt like to me. And one day Larry learned about church. One day in church, Larry learned about heaven extensively. He just, for one day, this time in his life at 11 years old, I was a 9-year-old. He just thought, you know what? This has come to clear. If I die, I'm going to go to heaven. And I found him that day in the woods. I cut him down after he had taken his life. The reprieve and beatings happened for a while, but it returned. I felt abandoned. It went on. There's a point in time in life where I am then going into the military. It's an alcohol culture. You're drinking to the point that, man, you got to hide it when you wet the bed, try to clean this up and do stuff like that. It's just, it's ridiculously high amounts of alcohol. Drinking. I remember that went on for years. I managed it. After I got out of the military, I was at a bar one night. Me and some friends closed it down. I ran a stop sign. I didn't come to a complete stop. It was justification to pull me over at 2 a.m, and bingo, I get a DUI. So things changed. That was the point where I felt like I hit rock bottom, like something was wrong. Life was not okay. I was moving from place to place, making new friends, and then finding out things are they're the same as they were before. I was just really not okay. During that time frame, I was also mandated to attend AA meetings for a period of time and show records that I attended. And the very first AA meeting I went to, I realized AA was not the way for me, and I still feel that way today. I remember somebody saying, and this is the reason why, I remember hearing somebody say, you know what, I'm so-and-so, and I'm an alcoholic, and that's how you start. They have you say that, my name is Dan, I'm an alcoholic. They have you come to that admission. I really struggled with something. One of the things that was going to be a brick wall on the AA process for me was turning it over to a higher power. What higher power? Where's Larry? That's what I want to know from that higher power. Am I going to turn over to that? I can't. What I struggled with was cutting my brother out of the tree. Having the arresting officer say, I need your belt and bootlaces so you don't hang yourself. I'm breaking down and understanding. I got some deep problems, big problems. The alcohol is not the issue. The alcohol is hiding the issue. I got deep psychological problems that have not been resolved. And if I want my life to change, everywhere I go, I bring that with me. I think, why are these people the same? Why are they the same? Why are they the same? I'm playing out something that's occurring again and again, and it takes me a long time to get it. I finally do. I quit drinking, and I go through an exploratory process, and I'm learning, and I'm doing things, and I'm reading, and I'm changing my life radically. But part of it had to do with resolving all of that childhood stuff. The AA meeting, the guy, I remember him saying, you know what, I haven't drank for 20 years, and the other night I fell off the way. It was just like everything had started over. It was like this complete failure thing, and I was like, boy, I don't want to live my life coming to AA meetings telling everybody I'm this close to losing it. What I knew is that I had a childhood that I had to look at, that I couldn't leave that childhood alone. I had to go be okay with everything that happened. I had to find ways of resolving that. And oh my God, that was hard. But you do, and you don't drink, and you do things, and I get healthy, and I'm climbing mountains, and I'm, me and a buddy climbing Mount Rainier several times, doing some pretty good stuff just for a couple of backyard local amateurs, just doing your best. I remember, about 25 years ago, I did a mountain bike racing thing in Nebraska, and I won the Clydesdale series at the end of the season. Mostly there weren't many Clydesdale racers, and sometimes I went to every race, and sometimes I was the only racer, so I always got first. You get first place points when that happens. So it's not as good as it sounds. But my physical conditioning and shape were a lot different. Okay, so I retire. What happens? I start researching this and getting into it more and more, and now I'm drinking, but it's like my brain is fried. Whew. I got to let it rest. I sit down in the evening. I start drinking a glass of red wine, watching old videos or something that doesn't require any thinking. Old sitcoms are something that don't require you to process anything. Just allow your mind to go. And so I would start doing that and drinking wine, and gradually over time that, went to a couple. Pretty soon it's the whole bottle. Pretty soon it's like, wow, one bottle isn't enough. I'll get that big bottle. And here I am at this point. And I enjoy it. Boy, this is a full bottle right here. Look, I'm ready to go tonight. I'm ready to start watching videos. Here's the problem. I'm 67. I'm getting older. I've only put on about maybe 10 to 15 pounds in my retirement over 6 or 7 years, but I have absolutely atrophied from, more musculature when I climbed and cycled and did all that stuff to sitting around and researching and doing stuff like that. So the weight has converted from muscle to fat. So, my body fat content has probably gone up 15% or something. It's a large amount. And I'm not as physically fit or anything like that. And I'm getting older. And I understand that at some point, I'm doing the wrong thing for longevity. It's about the quality of life as you age. And so far, I haven't suffered anything. But I'm easily on my way as a candidate to be somebody in a period of time saying, well, I finally got a wake-up call. Do I have to wait for the wake-up call? Can I look and go, you know what? I'm going that direction. And actually hope for a wake-up call. It could just as easily be a curtain call. I think drinking a glass of red wine a day would be fine. Alcohol's a big part of culture. Alcohol, to me, this time, though, is radically something different than it was before. Before, the alcohol was something that was just, it was not okay. It was not, yeah. Anyway, the drinking now, I come home, I sit at home, I sit at my computer and watch the videos. I don't go anywhere. I don't do anything. Nobody sees it. It's not a big deal. My wife's in bed. I go to bed at night. I still get up before her. So I'm high functioning as somebody that's drinking, but at the same time, I enjoy it. So it's like, whew. Sometimes rock bottom is helpful, but you don't want to get there, really, honestly, as far as making decisions, commitments. All right, so where are we then? I know what's going to happen. Here's what goes on. I say to myself every day, you know what? I got to stop doing this. It's not healthy. I need to start, getting back to getting in shape and, lifting a little bit, doing things like that, getting outdoors more, back the way you used to. However, when I did it before, I was working at the time and I couldn't wait to get weekends and things like that. I had to get out. I had to. Now I'm retired. I can get out anytime I want to. So that same drive isn't there. I can go anytime I want to. Yeah, I do. I go frequently, more frequently now than I used to. But the way it impacts my desire is a lot different than it used to be. But it used to be like, I got to get away from this environment, this work environment, these people. I have to escape for a while. Whew, I'm an introvert. I got to clear my mind, then go back the next week and get it slammed up again. Okay, all right. If you're on board with what I got going on, I think I need to move on to the teaching itself. The first thing I'm going to do is go back and take a look at these beginnings right here. The Buddha leaves all behind. Jesus leaves all behind. Fast and praise until I found inner preparedness. Tempted by sin, where are we? This is us. This is me right now. I become Buddha or I become Jesus. I need to leave behind my drinking, cross a threshold, turn into my mind, and enter the space under the Bodhi tree. Or I need to be Jesus, so leave behind everything, cross the threshold of the baptism. That means turning inward. By John, that's the old self, handing off to here's what you need to become. Turn inward. Let your external self die off and your internal self take over. Enters the wilderness for 40 days. That's the void place. That's the same place the Israelites were. They were 40 years in the desert after crossing the Red Sea. That was a big version. This is a small version. All right, we're going to be fasting and praying until we find our inner preparedness, though. And we're going to be tempted by Satan, but resist the temptation of sin. Okay, so the story goes that there is the resisting of temptation. Right now, I am not resisting temptation. What I'm doing is I'm turned inward, I'm looking at the issue, but every day I'm giving into that temptation of sin. I'm not surviving this part of I've turned inward. I know what to do. I see what's going on. I know what I need to do, but I don't do it. And as a result, the next day I might feel like, I really need to quit. I'd feel more energetic if I would stop doing that, get up and do more things. So, yeah, but then at night it's like, oh man, that's enjoyable. I want to do it. So I keep falling into that pattern. I'm giving into the temptation. I'm not ready to go on the journey. However, I'm poised. So if I want to make the journey, what I have to do is what? Let's go look at something different. What I want to do first is give credibility to what I'm talking about here by looking at something here from the Gospel of Philip. This is from the Gospel of Philip. It's getting near the end. All right. It's going to be, well, let me read it through and then I'll talk about it. Most things in the world, as long as their inner parts are hidden, stand upright and live. If they are revealed, they die, as is illustrated by the visible man. As long as the intestines of the man are hidden, the man is alive. When his intestines are exposed and come out of him, the man will die. So also with the tree. While its root is hidden, it sprouts and grows. If its root is exposed, the tree dries up. So it is with every birth that is in the world, not only with the revealed, but with the hidden. For so long as the root of wickedness is hidden, it is strong, but when it is recognized, it is dissolved. When it is revealed, it perishes. That is why the word says, already the axe is laid at the root of the trees. It will not merely cut. What is cut sprouts again, but the axe penetrates deeply until it brings up the root. Jesus pulled out the root of the whole place, while others did it only partially. As for ourselves, let each one of us dig down after the root of evil which is within one, and let one pluck it out of one's heart from the root. It will be plucked out if we recognize it. If we are ignorant of it, it takes root in us and produces its fruit in our heart. It masters us. We are its slaves. It takes us captive to make us do what we do not want, and what we do want, we do not do. It is powerful because we have not recognized it. While it exists, it is active. Ignorance is the mother of all evil. Ignorance will result in death, because those who come from ignorance neither were, nor are, nor shall be, and there was some text missing from the original documents, will be perfect when the truth is revealed. For truth is like ignorance. While it is hidden, it rests in itself. But when it is revealed and it is recognized, it is praised, inasmuch as it is stronger than ignorance and error. It gives freedom. The word says, if you know the truth will make you free. Ignorance is a slave. Knowledge is freedom. If we know the truth, we shall find the fruits of the truth within us. If we are joined to it, it will bring our fulfillment. All right, I want to talk about a technique that's happening right here. It's kind of long, but it starts out, and it's doing a mental or a psychological direction shift from outward to inward. When it starts out, it talks about the man, the illustrated man, the human, the physical human, how the physical human is alive as long as they're intact. And if you expose the insides of that human being, if you lay open their bowels, they're going to die. Okay, that's very physical. Then it shifts into something a little bit different. It goes into something a little more nebulous, but it's about the tree. And it talks about, I mean, is that always the case? If you cut a tree down, it grows back. You must pull it from the root. There's something else that's coming into play here, but it's going from the physical man to tree, and then it's going to shift down into within each one of us, within our hearts. It's taken a shift from outward looking to inward looking. From outward looking to inward looking. We're going to see that elsewhere in other material. All right, let's go back and get the full benefit from these right here. Again, the first one, yep, that just means that if something is hidden inside of something, it's alive, no matter what. And if you expose the inside of it, it dies, okay? And then it goes into the tree, so also with the tree, while its root is hidden, it sprouts and grows. If the root is exposed, the tree dries up. That makes sense. Yeah, you pull a tree out of the ground and throw it on the ground, it's going to all dry up. So it is with every birth that is in the world, not only with the revealed, but with the hidden. Oh, that means not only what you are aware of, but what you're unaware of. For so long as the root of wickedness is hidden, it is strong. This is in the heart. But when it is recognized, it is dissolved. So this implies the idea that what is the root of wickedness? That it is hidden. What you have to really think about is, if you think back far enough, you're going to find out that the bad feeling hinges upon an event that happened between me and somebody, or me and a group of people, and that I judged it a certain way, that if I didn't like it, that is what this is right here. That's the wickedness. The root of wickedness is me judging something and being very hateful of it, or hurtful, or ashamed, or something like that is going to cause me to feel hurtful, hateful, ashamed, constantly. But when it is recognized, it is dissolved. So when you recognize where that source comes from, you have exposed it. A healing begins. When it's revealed, it perishes. That's why the word says already, the axe is laid at the root of the trees. It will not merely cut. What is cut sprouts again. But the axe penetrates deeply until it pulls up the root. Okay, and what would this mean? Make the tree grows out from you. The tree is the manifestation of what comes from you. And if you cut it down, the manifestation of something, without pulling out the root, it's going to return. That's telling somebody, I'm sorry, I'll never do that again. And then later getting triggered and it happens again. And you're like, damn it, I don't know why that happens. I'm sorry, I'll never do it again. You're just cutting down the root you're cutting down the tree, but leaving the root in place. It comes back, it sprouts again. It's emerging from the garden of your world experience. What is that tree? It could be, fuck you, I hate you, you asshole. Anything like that. That could be the tree. It is. And you can't just say, damn it, I don't know why. I'm sorry I do that. I apologize. Something blows up inside of me. There's something in there. That's it. That's the root. You've got to find the root. The root is actually kind of easy to identify but difficult to access. The root is this. It's the event that happened, the memory between you and somebody or something that happened in such a way that gives this judgment right here. That's the original root of it. This happened, and as a result, I feel this way about it. Now, time can go by and cause so much additional to add to that to look at it becomes incredibly emotionally difficult. But you know that's exactly what the hell it is. How do you know? Think about it. How does it make you feel? Bad? That's it. When you expose the root, then it dies. Now, Jesus pulled out the root of the whole place, while others did it only partially. So what this is telling us is that that in his time, or that in this story, the idea is that whoever becomes the Jesus is somebody that's going to go in and resolve everything in their life, not just a couple big things and then let the rest of it sit and reside. He went in and sought his nirvana, the kingdom of heaven within, purity. As for ourselves, let each one of us dig down after the root of evil which is within one, and let one pluck it out of one's heart from the root. It will be plucked out if we recognize it. And you know what? We have to understand these terms. The evil within one heart. You might look at that and say, I'm a wonderful person. I've had some bad stuff happen to me that makes me angry, but I'm not an evil person at all. That's not accessing the material. Evil is an analogous term. It means a judgment that is not okay. It's like a sin. All have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. What that means is that everybody has made judgments and they live through their memories and fall short of living through their detached higher awareness. So anytime you have sins or judgments or evil or anything like that, evil thought from Buddha, all of that means a memory that is just judged in a particular way. Something modern, like from Don Miguel Ruiz, would be the agreements. They're agreements. They're things that we hold in our mind that we believe. That's it right there. All of those are exactly the same thing. In antiquity, it can sound complex, but you have to detach from the supernatural belief carrier of this material and understand it's worded that way for the masses. But if you want to interact with it, you got to understand it's mental, it's psychological. This happened, that happened, I felt this way, I felt that way. Who is the victim? You continue to look at the event and try to find different ways of looking at it and separating yourself from it until you rise above it. We're all coming from that same pool. Even the people that did to you whatever they did to you, everybody's coming from the same damn pool. The only way we can escape that is to know it and go, I can't be that. I got to be different. I got to let it go. All right, but if we don't know that, what happens? If we're ignorant of it, it takes root in us and produces its fruit in our heart. Yeah, that's when you sit there and fume and try to put on a smile maybe, but something else is in there. It masters us. We are its slaves. We don't resolve things, so guess what? It's there, haunting you. We don't like it. We hate it. We want it to go away. We don't know that the way we're mentally managing it is what is making it be there. What creates it and keeps it there is our perception, our thought. It takes us captive to make us do what we do not want. So for me right now, this would be pretty lightweight. And I mean, I know exactly what it is. I'm giving into the alcohol, the wine. I'm captive to that, and it's making me do what I do not want, which is drink. And what we do want, we do not do, which is stop drinking and go out and start exercising again, become healthier. It is powerful because we have not recognized it. In my case, I have, but typically we don't. While it exists, it's active. Ignorance is the mother of all. Ignorance is the result of death. So that's what this is telling us as it goes on here, is that not understanding that we are carrying our own problems within us, ignorance of that is going to result in the death, but that's a spiritual death. That means you're going to live through your memories and not through your, my higher awareness. I'm not those memories. I'm this up here. But when you can't figure that out, you're going to live through those memories. I hate this. I hate that. I need to. Got to do this. I need this. I need that. Yeah, that's the death of life. It's not. It's a metaphorical death. The death of happiness. Because those who come from ignorance neither were nor. Yeah, we'll skip that one. For truth is like ignorance. While it is hidden, it rests in itself. So the truth is always there. Once you realize it, you can't turn back. You can't unsee it. But when it's revealed and recognized, it is praised. Inasmuch it is stronger than ignorance and error, it gives freedom. So once we see and understand that the reason this happens and triggers in me is because I was a little kid one time and this happened, and when that happened, I kind of felt this way about it, but as time went on, I kept learning about it and thinking more and more and adding to it, and it got worse and worse. And as I understand that and realize the other person probably going through the same thing, or they're just, man, what kind of power are you going to give them? They're just another drop in the ocean. They're just the adjacent drop in the ocean. We got to get out of that. If you know the truth will make you free. That's it right there. When you understand what made you and resolve it, you will become free of what made you. However, ignorance is a slave. Denying it, it has you. Knowledge is freedom. You can escape it. If we know the truth, we shall find the fruits of the truth within us. If we are joined to it, it will bring our fulfillment. Okay, yeah, and we can reason these things through ourselves and see that that's what's happening and what they're teaching. Okay, so far, is everybody with me on what I'm doing here? This right here is exposing a problem, looking at a problem, but there's one more thing I have to do. This time I'm going to go to, I think, the Gospel of Thomas. Let me check that real quick. Hey, actually, before going on to the fix action now, what I want to say right here is that this was my first stage, going through it where I didn't have things resolved. I knew I had problems from childhood, but I didn't know the problem was that it was the way that I was judging them, holding them, not forgiving, not letting go, that there was processes that I was going to need to start going through to heal. And I learned that, and I worked on that, and it was not an easy or an overnight process. In fact, it still goes on. All right, now we're going to move on to what to do about it. But in this case, how I fit into this material is I still fit into it. I'm still in that place where I'm in the wilderness, I'm turned inward. I know I'm looking at the issue, except I'm giving in to Mara. I'm giving in to Satan. I'm giving in to the temptation. I'm not ready to grab my disciples and go on a path yet. All right, first I've got this one, verse 35. Jesus said, these are just that kind of a verse. It's a teaching. It is not possible for anyone to enter the house of a strong man and take it by force, unless he binds his hands. Then he will be able to ransack his house. Okay, this is a psychological teaching for me. My house, I'm the strong man. You're the strong man. Anybody who is going on this path, you're the strong man. The house, that's your mind. Who lives in your head? What lives in your head? It is not possible for anyone to enter your head as a strong man and take it by force unless they bind your hands. Then he will be able to ransack his house. What are the hands being bound? In my case, the wine is binding my hands and ransacking my house. I need to know that I'm not in control. I need to admit that I'm not in control. Now, I may not like the way that that sounds, but that's exactly the way that it interprets. And by implication, you realize, yes, that whatever is, you're allowing something to take over. You're weak. I need to see that. That's what the teaching is telling me. At the same time, I struggle a little bit with motivation. Yeah. All right, next we're going to jump to verse 98. Jesus said, "The kingdom of the Father is like a certain man who wanted to kill a powerful man. In his own house, he drew his sword and stuck it into the wall in order to find out whether his hand could carry through. Then he slew the powerful man." So what we have to do, where's the powerful man? The powerful man is outside of us. But what is this? The kingdom of the Father. That's weird. That is nirvana. Nirvana is, or the kingdom of heaven within, inner peace. Wanted to kill a powerful man. In his own house, he drew his own sword. So it must be you destroy yourself. You must destroy your early self in your own house. Yeah, you cannot be divided. All right, I'm going to include one more here, 103. That's actually this one. I'll highlight it so it's not so confusing there. All right, I got other projects going on here too. "Fortunate is the man who knows where the brigands will enter, so that he may get up, muster his domain, and arm himself before they invade." Bingo, right there. I am the man that knows when the brigands will enter. It's going to be tonight at 6 o'clock. The brigands are the wine. The wine is going to show up at 6 o'clock. What I need to do is to get up, muster myself, and arm myself before they invade. What does that mean? I need a game plan to replace what's going on. Instead of just sitting here going, it's back at that time. I got nothing else. We're creatures of habit. We get into things, and not only is this like not a problem for me right now, what I have to do is understand things like, well, not only does the wine itself contain a lot of calories, but after drinking, you usually end up with some hot wings or something like that anyway, garbage food you would normally eat if you weren't drinking. So you're compounding your diet with not just the calories of the alcohol, but, you know, if you're weak like me, calories of junk food. Or I don't actually have a lot of junk. I don't have junk food around, but it'll be eating calories. I might eat a sandwich or something, a tuna sandwich. I might make a grilled cheese with lots of butter in it. Yeah, so there's a number of reasons. Also, the strain on the brain, strain on the cells, the compounding state of just being lethargic. Going, I don't really want to go do anything. I'm still very active. People tell me for my age I'm incredibly active, but the thing is this: compared to my life, I'm not very active. Compared to my past life, compared to my early life, I'm not that active. So I know the decay, and I know the physical changes and all that kind of stuff that's happened. I also realized that at some point in time in life, it was easy to maintain certain physical things, and now it's not anymore. As you get older, there's a point where it kind of starts coming apart for me. Anyway, so you look at all that and go, well, those are the positive reasons why you should do it. But also, I mean, there's an expense. What is it? A certain amount of money every day that you're paying for that for a month, for a year. Even if it was just $10 a bottle, what is that? $3,650 a year you're spending on wine. That's a lot of money. Yeah, that's getting into cigarette smoking cost, isn't it? It's kind of crazy. It's up there. Money that can be used elsewhere. There's so many positive reasons to not do it for the health and for other things. The fact that the world is the state that it's in, and you don't want to look at it, you can't help but look at it, all that kind of stuff are compounding issues as to why you want to just kind of look away. It's difficult right now for me not to expand my consciousness in some manner that doesn't help me go, whew, I see a bigger picture somehow outside of this. But you look at Earth and look at what's going on. It's a very difficult thing to see. It's easy to just try to drown it away still. Only like before, when it was my childhood and I had control over it, this time it's the world, and it's humanity, and I have no damn control over it. You're just along for the ride. So that's frustrating too, and it makes me go, why not? Just have some wine and watch an old sitcom. Go watch Cheers or something. Anyway, so what I gather out of that, knowing that the brigands will enter and to prepare, is to make preparation. I know habitually when I'm going to give in. What do I do instead? I make some sort of preparation to engage my brain in a different way. I also know this, and I know this from previous experience and from talking to other people, that the first day to week will be pretty easy to pull off. It's after that that you go, you know what? I'm making it. It won't hurt to just give in one night. Boom, you're right back off. So there's a point there where you know you got to get started. Then at first it's going to be difficult, but you'll pull through because you're just super motivated. But when that motivation level drops down, the temptation is going to feel like it's so much stronger. And you've got to make preparations for that too. Not just the first step, but what happens when you want to give in later. Here, recognizing those and knowing that they're going to come. Also, I know that if I want to get in shape, I'm not in really bad shape, honestly, right now. But if I went out there and started like walking a hill really hard, doing hill work or something like that, I would definitely feel it. But I also know that I'm not in shape to do that right now, and I've got to ease into it and not go too crazy with it. Also, it's getting summertime, and I live in a high desert, and in the daytime, it's too hot for me anymore. I used to be able to go out there and ride my bike when it was 105F. Not anymore. It about makes me want to pass out and throw up if I get overheated when it's that hot anymore. So, you have to kind of modify your exercise regimen, and I'm not a go to the gym person. I don't like gym memberships. Although the alcohol could pay for that perhaps, huh? And then some. All right, I still don't like going to gyms. I just don't. I don't like the environment. I really do not. I would rather go outside and go hike a hill. I would rather go climb up something out there in nature than go to a gym and climb a machine that just sits on the floor. Anyway, okay, well, I wanted to say that I don't know if it's helpful to anybody. I don't know how much I'm committing right here. I know I've got that bottle of wine sitting right here. Yeah, I should probably crack it tonight and make another video after I've got halfway into it and see what that looks like, huh? Post that up as here's an example of why you should maybe think about what you're doing. Anyway, all right, I wanted to say that, but I also wanted to engage with the material and demonstrate how it is psychological material that is looked at so wrongly by the masses of people that they just don't see what's there. These are teachings to help us live life. If you don't find the teachings, then they're a carrier that can help you live life until you go. Although they can go over the top and start promising things that's like, yeah, well, we're into some strange supernatural territory here. If you're like me and you don't go to the supernatural, but you understand that what we're doing is natural, that flow, the things we connect with, all that kind of stuff, it's natural stuff. Resolving your childhoods and the past hurts, boy, you cannot fathom how smooth energy flows through your mind and through your life experiences. The more you clear things out, the more things flow. The DVD The Secret tells you to, focus on what you want, when all the masters of antiquity tell you, you already know what you want. Focus on what is in the way. Clear it out, and what you want will flow naturally. There you go. It's not just focus on the good. Resolve what is preventing you from getting there. In my case, well, if we're just talking about the wine, I'm a failure. If we're talking about my childhood, I'm a success. I don't even know how to classify it. It's like living different lives in one lifetime. It is. It is. All right. Well, what am I going to do? What I'm going to do, what I should do is finish the wine that I have, because there's no reason to throw it away. And I mean, it's fine. I can drink another day or just, whatever day. But there'll be a little bit left. I can pour that amount out. And then tomorrow, have a different game plan, have something in place, If I'm going to commit to do it, I have to commit. I've got to get to it. If I post this video, that means I've committed. Or does it? Well, you know what? If I fail, I'm not going to be broke up about it. And that's one more thing I want to say, I guess. If you're going through a similar thing, you need to make sure that you're not putting yourself into a forced mental turmoil, failure cycle, bad feeling, because that will cause that feeling to grow, which exacerbates that connection as well. For me, I don't sit here at night going, damn it, here I go again, I'm a failure. Or I don't wake up going, shit, I don't. I just go, yep, well, I drank. That's what I'm doing. So I'm not tearing myself up mentally over it, despite the fact that I know that it's something that should not be done at the level that I do it. I'm not the kind of person that's going to drink a glass of wine a night. I'm the kind of person that's either going to drink a bunch or just should stay away and go drink water, tea, something else. That's a good idea. 6 o'clock comes around. What do you do instead? Well, why don't you make a cup of decaf tea? Replace the drink with something else. When it's summertime, it's going to be too hot to go exercise or go on walks or something like that. That's really, you want to be cool, kind of staying close to someplace cool in the shade that time of day. Getting close to bedtime, it's hard to sleep. I can't sleep when it's hot and sweaty. So, the evening when it comes about, that's the difficult one, is coming up with something different. I've studied and the channel's not so much or doing anything. So, yeah, I don't know what to do. Kind of on my own. Just throwing it out there. Oh well. Hope it was helpful. The material, if nothing else, it's teaching us to do something, that you know what's going on. You know to resolve things. If it's hidden, expose it. When it's exposed, it's healed. It goes away. It dies. We recognize it in the patterns of its repetitive nature, that it comes out of us. It goes with us where we go. And the only way to resolve it is to get down to the very bottom of it. What is it? What made it to begin with? Who did what to me? Or what did I do to somebody that makes this hinge right here, that if I resolve, this will go away. And if I don't resolve, this is going to continue. When you know that, you kind of find yourself obligated to do something. Once you realize you can do that, and that if you feel bad, you can't sit there and go, well, I just feel bad and I hate this, because you're like, I already know what to do to resolve that. Shut up and go do it. Get over the hate. Now you got it figured out. You find yourself on a path. What's next? What else? I didn't just get hurt once. I got hurt over and over and over. There's a lot of little memories back there. I could pull up into my mind and find tears in my eyes. Those are memories that need to be resolved, acknowledged. Things from our past that were not resolved that now need to be resolved. Anyway, okay. I'm all over the place with this. This is mental health. But honestly, what I'm saying comes from antiquity. Yeah, they knew this. That's how they lived. All right. See you next video.